Good day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Before we dive in, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on updates. Alright, we've got some major developments to unpack. Here's what's happening. The headline reads, Nnamdi Kanu takes over as his lawyers withdraw from trial. This is big. Let me walk you through the story in a straightforward way, and we'll talk about why this matters for Nigeria, the court system, and for you. So what's going on? On Thursday, the legal team representing Nnamdi Kanu, including his lead counsel Kanu Agabi, San, formally applied to withdraw from his defense. Kanu confirmed in court that from now on he will represent himself, at least for the moment. He declined the court's offer of a lawyer being assigned to him. When he spoke himself in court, he challenged the jurisdiction of the court to try him. Why is this happening? A few points. 1. Kanu evidently chose to take direct control of his legal strategy. His lawyers say that he literally took his case file from them. 2. Because of that, the entire team of senior advocates, SANs, on his defense withdrew. 3. The court had earlier granted a short time span, 6 days, starting 23 October 2025, for Kanu to open and close his defense. Kanu has now filed a motion asking for 90 days because he intends to call many witnesses, including high-profile ones. What are the implications? First, for Kanu's trial, this is a dramatic shift. When you see someone representing themselves in a high-stakes case, treasonable felony, terrorism charges, it raises questions. Can he mount the defense effectively? Does he risk disadvantaging himself? But then again, sometimes defendants opt to self-represent for political or strategic reasons. Second, for the legal process, Kanu's self-representation and the withdrawal of his lawyers places pressure on the court to ensure fairness, due process. The court must ensure that even though he chose this path, his rights are protected. The judge's earlier offer to assign a lawyer shows that the court is aware of the risk, but Kanu declined. Third, from a broader national viewpoint, Kanu is leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. His trial has political, social, and even ethnic redivision overtones. His choice to self-defend might be viewed by supporters as taking personal control, by critics as risky or dramatic. It also brings the issue of jurisdiction and constitutional rights into sharper focus. He argues irrelevantly that the court lacks jurisdiction. The federal government still presses charges. Let's walk through how the scenario likely developed, step by step. The prosecution laid charges, 7-count terrorism related, against Kanu. Kanu was in custody since his re-arrest in 2021 after earlier issues and bail in 2017. His legal team filed defense motions. The court scheduled him for opening defense on 2310-2025. On that day, his lead counsel announced withdrawal due to Kanu's decision to take over. The court adjourned. Kanu now files application asking for 90 days to call multiple witnesses. What should viewers keep an eye on? Whether Kanu will indeed call the witnesses he listed, including major figures, former chief of army staff, governors, ministers. How the court will accommodate the 90-day request, given that earlier the time frame was 6 days. Whether Kanu will stay self-represented or bring in new counsel. How the prosecution responds to this change of strategy. The reactions outside court among his supporters, among the public, among rights groups. Now, I want you to think, why would someone in such a serious case choose to defend himself rather than rely on experienced lawyers? There are possible reasons. Political statement, I'm my own man. Distrust of legal team. Belief they're not properly aligned. Desire to control narrative directly. But there are also risks. Legal technicalities may catch him out. Courts expect pleadings, procedures, rules of evidence. If you're not well versed, that's dangerous. Another angle. This shows the stress points of our justice system when high-profile defendants self-represent. The system must tread carefully to ensure fairness while keeping to schedule. If the court grants 90 days, that may slow things. Opposing sides may complain of delay. So, to you watching, what does this mean for you? If you're interested in how Nigerian justice works, this is a live case study. If you're concerned about civil rights, you'll watch how the process handles jurisdiction questions, defendants' rights, self-representation. If you follow politics or the Southeast region issues, you'll see how the Kanu, IPOB saga continues to impact national discourse. I'll leave you with this. This move by Kanu changes the dynamics of the trial significantly. It raises questions of strategy, control, risk. But quite possibly, it's also a bold statement. Whether it pays off or not remains to be seen. We'll keep tracking. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Kanu is making a wise move defending himself? Is it brave or reckless? Let me know. When we look deeper into Nnamdi Kanu's decision to represent himself, we must understand that it's not just a legal move, it's also a political and emotional statement. For years, Kanu has been the symbolic face of agitation for Biafra, and to his followers, every action he takes carries deep meaning. So, when his lawyers withdrew, and he stood up in court, saying he'll take over his own defense, it sent a message: I'm still in control. According to reports, his lawyers withdrew after what appeared to be a disagreement on strategy. They felt they could not continue since Kanu personally took possession of his case file and insisted on representing himself. The lead counsel, Chief Mike Ozikom, SAN, who has been at the forefront of his defense since 2021, reportedly informed the court that it was no longer possible for them to proceed. That's a big development, because Ozikom is one of Nigeria's most experienced constitutional lawyers. Now, Kanu's move to defend himself shows that he wants to personally control how his case is presented. He even told the court that he intends to call multiple witnesses, including some high-profile individuals, to testify. From a legal perspective, that's ambitious. Normally, defense witnesses have to be carefully prepared, and every line of questioning matters. Doing all that without legal backing can be overwhelming. But here's the twist. Some supporters see this as courage. They say he's tired of the delay games and wants to confront the system directly. Others say it's risky because Nigeria's judicial process is complex and unforgiving to procedural errors. For example, even if you have a strong argument, if it's not properly filed or you miss a step, the court might throw it out. Let's talk about the legal implications. When a defendant decides to represent himself in such a high-profile criminal case, the judge must ensure that he understands the consequences. The law provides that the defendant can appear in person or by counsel of choice, so it's within his right. But the court is still expected to ensure fairness, meaning that the judge might slow down proceedings to explain things to him as they go. Now, the major question people are asking is this: will this delay the trial further? You remember, the Federal High Court in Abuja had given a 6-day window for Kanu to open and close his defense. That's not much time at all, considering the seriousness of the charges. But Kanu, representing himself, has now asked for 90 days to prepare. That's 3 months. If the court grants it, it means more adjournments. If it refuses, it could lead to arguments about fair hearing. Another interesting point is that Kanu has challenged the jurisdiction of the court. In simple English, he's saying that this court has no power to try him. He believes his arrest and rendition back to Nigeria from Kenya were unlawful, so he argues that any trial based on that is invalid. His lawyers had raised this before, and now he's bringing it up himself directly. If the court chooses to hear that motion again, it could prolong the process even more. The federal government, on the other hand, is eager to proceed with the substantive case. They've insisted that Kanu must face the charges against him. Now, this whole situation also touches the political environment. The case has always been politically sensitive, especially in the Southeast. Whenever there's a major court session, you see heightened security in Abuja and increased tension across parts of the Southeast. Many of his supporters often interpret every development as either victory or betrayal. Let's also talk about what this means for his followers. For some, Kanu's self-representation is a symbol of defiance, standing alone against the system. For others, they worry it might weaken his legal position. But either way, the trial has become more about symbolism and less about just law. And let's be honest, Nigerians are watching not just for the outcome, but for what it says about justice, rule of law, and government accountability. If the process is seen as fair and transparent, it can rebuild some trust in the justice system. But if it looks one-sided, it could further deepen mistrust, especially among groups who already feel marginalized. Now, let's bring it closer home, because this story isn't only about Nnamdi Kanu. It's also about how Nigeria handles dissent and the importance of the judiciary in balancing state power and citizens' rights. When cases like this drag on for years, it affects public confidence in the courts. It also affects the nation's image internationally. So, what can we expect next? In the coming days, the judge is expected to rule on whether to allow Kanu's 90-day preparation request. The court will also decide how to manage proceedings, since he's now representing himself. It's possible that the court might insist on moving faster, or might even appoint a standby lawyer just to guide him on technicalities. We'll also be watching how the prosecution reacts. They might argue that the defense is deliberately delaying. They could push for the court to proceed quickly. But if Kanu insists he's not ready, it could turn into a legal tug-of-war. As Nigerians, this is a moment for us to watch how justice plays out without emotion, without bias. Whether you support or oppose Kanu, the key issue is fairness, transparency, and the rule of law. Before I round off this segment, let me say this. This is not the first time in Nigerian history that a high-profile defendant decided to represent himself. But it is one of the rare times it's happening in such a politically charged case. What happens here might set a precedent for future cases. If you're following this story closely, make sure you hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Drop your opinion in the comments section below. Do you think Kanu is right to defend himself? Or should he have kept his lawyers to avoid mistakes?